Hi, welcome to the presentation on SDLC. My name is Cynthia Mock, and I'm with Rosie Shack, and we're going to be explaining the systems development life cycle. This is going to set up our series, and we're going to go deeper into the project management components and talk about those tools and how they work in other presentations. But we went over the intro to databases, and to make a database, you usually use this process to complete it. Now let's go ahead and get started. Okay, no, I don't want that one. Back. Here we go. There we go. All right, so the systems development lifecycle is often called SDLC. Let's go ahead and look at the Prezi slide and see what it says it is. The systems development lifecycle is a systematic process used for developing software applications. It outlines distinct phases ensuring structured development and management of projects from inception to maintenance. It is important to understand that creating solutions is more than looking at a programming puzzle. The SDLC helps put together the right big picture. So basically, software companies making games, making databases, making programs that perform tasks, all expect you to do phases in the software development that put the picture together. It's very important that you don't just jump in to dealing with programming puzzles and strings. You do actually the process of creating the project, planning it effectively, making sure it's okay. What you might start with is a feasibility study. Having those pieces inside your planning phases is very important. If you just jump into the programming, you might end up with a disorganized mess that doesn't meet the requirements. The requirements are very important. If you don't set them correctly, the programmers can't meet them. Okay, why is SDLC important? SDLC is crucial as it provides a structured approach for software development, enhancing project planning and risk management. It ensures the optimal use of resources and improves quality, accountability, and project timelines. Because computer programs and databases can be big, the unity of the SDLC is important to know. Without this, I just explained, you might end up off base. It helps you set your requirements. It helps you make sure your design is good and feasible for the market. And if you don't go through all of it, you might end up with a problem. The objections of the SDLC. The primary objectives of the SDLC include delivering high-quality software that meets or exceeds customer expectations, managing project costs effectively, and ensuring timely delivery of the software product. It also aims to ensure thorough testing and validation at each phase. Okay, phases of the SDLC. I made this graphic because my slides were pastel and everything was coming through blue-black. I made this slide and I wanted you to see that there were a lot of phases and they loop in a circle. And the first ones are planning and analysis. There's planning and analysis where you decide what your project is going to be and what it needs to be. And you set those kinds of requirements during design before you implement the programming and do testing. As you can see, this process after deployment and maintenance loops back around to the beginning where you can do another feasibility study and end up creating like an iterative loop of versions. Those phases that they usually recommend in planning in the SDLC is planning, analysis, design, implementation, testing, deployment, and maintenance. Okay, let's go over the planning phase. The planning phase is crucial for defining project scope, objectives, and resource allocation. It sets groundwork for the entire SDLC, ensuring that all stakeholders have a clear understanding of goals and deliverables. Without this phase, you might not meet the needs of the project. Okay, you might do your feasibility study here, do some interviews with the company, and draw up a sketch of what you think is going to meet the need of your application. The analysis phase. The analysis phase is next. During the analysis phase, requirements are gathered from the stakeholders to inform system specifications. This phase ensures that the final project aligns with the user's needs and expectations, minimizing the risk of costly changes later. Some tools used for this analysis is interviews, data flow diagrams, energy ER diagrams or entity relationship diagrams, and data dictionaries. The design phase. The design phase translates the requirements into detailed specifications, including system architecture, user interfaces, and data models. You'll find that you can use a schemata at this time. Your data dictionaries will be set. Effective design is vital in achieving a functional efficiency and user satisfaction. If you have done all the detailed analysis in this phase, it should go more smoothly. So if you've done your analysis, the design phase of what's going to go on what table, you will have done your normalization already. I'm going to send it out for the structure in your SQL. The implementation phase is the actual coding and building of your system. Following the design specifications strictly, this phase also includes integrating with existing systems and aligning with business operations. The testing phase is essential for identifying bugs and ensuring the system meets all requirements before deployment. It involves various testing methods, including unit integration and user acceptance testing. Some project management forms will cycle back at this phase to the beginning if there are too many changes. Your testing phase is really important, and it can become iterative and cycle back. The deployment phase is when you deploy your product. During the deployment phase, the system is delivered to the user environment and made operational. This phase requires careful planning to minimize disruptions and ensure smooth transition for users. There are more than one way to roll out an update during the deployment phase that include totally replacing an application to allowing the version to overlap or allowing the versions to overlap. The deployment phase, when you do the upgrade, you can overwrite what you have, or you can say this one's going to be good for a while and then we'll roll out this one. So there's more than one way to do that. The maintenance phase involves ongoing support and updates to ensure the system remains functional and relevant. Regular maintenance helps to address issues, implement enhancements, and adapt to changing business needs. Okay, models of the SDLC. Things that use the SDLC in project management. They're forms of project management, and you can get certs in them. The waterfall method is the first one where you follow it in a linear fashion. The waterfall model is a linear and sequential approach where each phase must be completed before the next begins. It is well suited for projects with clear specifications and stable requirements, allowing for straightforward project tracking and documentation. The agile model promotes iterative development, allowing teams to develop and deliver software in small increments. This flexibility accommodates changing requirements and encourages continuous feedback, enhancing collaboration among stakeholders. The spiral model combines iterative development with systematic risk assessment. It involves repeated cycles of prototyping and refining based on the user feedback, making it ideal for complex projects where risks must be managed carefully. The V model emphasizes validation and verification alongside each development phase. For every stage of development, a correspondent testing phase is defined ensuring that the system requirements fully align with user expectations. The incremental model breaks the software development process into smaller and manageable segments. Each increment results in a functional component, allowing for a faster delivery and the implementation of features with ongoing enhancements based on user feedback. Okay, some tools that you can use. Project management tools. It says that there are some that are effective, like Jira, Trello, and Asana, to help manage tasks. I've used Notions and I've used Microsoft Project to manage tasks. So there's a lot of project management tools. The requirement analysis technique, requirement analysis techniques. Techniques such as interviews, surveys, use case analysis offer right insight into users' needs, allowing for precise requirements and gathering that guides the entire development process. I'm going to go over some of these, like interviews and surveys and a feasibility study that you can do that's 3 pages on a product. You can do some business planning and your planning phase for this, and that's very good if you can access a user and figure out demographics and stuff. Design tools. Design tools like Figma and Adobe XD help you to create prototypes and menus and look at how things are working together. I have Adobe XD. I wonder if I do a video on that and do some more screen walkthroughs. But being able to visualize your prototype is very important. Okay, testing tools. Testing tools such as Selenium and JUnit automate the testing process, ensuring software reliability by identifying bugs and performance issues before deployment. Okay, best practices. You remember from the last slide I went over best practices are things that they expect you to professionally do to the software to make sure that it is professional. Let's look at some of these best practices. Adhering to best practices ensures efficiency and equality. Key practices include thorough documentation, continuous stakeholder engagement, iterative testing, and the adoption of agile methodologies to respond swiftly to changes. Common challenges. The SDLC faces challenges such as scope creep. Scope creep is when they keep making it better and better, but it gets so huge you can't manage the production. Insufficient stakeholder involvement is when you can't get them to answer your questions or your surveys or your testing. Unclear requirements is when they come in and go, I don't know what I need. And inadequate testing. These challenges can lead to project delays and budget overruns and failed implementation. Strategies to overcome challenges. Strategies to address the SDLC challenges include setting clear project scopes. That happens during the planning phase. Regular communication with stakeholders. Using prototype models for requirements gathering, and implementing a robust testing strategy through development. Okay, well, that's a wrap up. Thank you for coming. I'm going to have some credits in the doobly-doo to go ahead and credit Prezi and the people that have helped me. My tip jar is below, so if you want me to do a video on anything, you can go ahead and tip me 5 and suggest. And thank you very much for coming to our presentation. Have a great day.